exposing the secret sauce in business-to-business marketing. The TAGLine Podcast is where real stories meet proven strategies. Let's elevate your business. Real strategies, real stories, real results. In the business-to-business industry, you're not selling to businesses. It's human to human. We break down what works, what doesn't, and how you can truly stand out. Transparency, credibility, growth. Get a behind-the-scenes look at what drives success in business-to-business marketing. Get ready for the next TAGLine Podcast powered by the Abley Group.
Welcome back to the TAGLine Podcast. Today, I'm always excited about my guests, but this is different. This is something I feel like, over the last 6 months, I've had a front row seat to watch something incredible start to unfold. I have Jane Lowe and Rob Whitten, the co-founders of Ping, with me today. Guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Justin.
This is kind of neat. Instead of interviewing you for your show, the Morning Brew, not the Morning Brew, the Morning Ping. I need my Morning Brew.
I know, right?
This morning.
We all need a second cup.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk through what you guys have been up to the last 6 to 8, 12 months. It's been really cool. Talk a little bit about, for our audience. I know I've talked about you guys previously on the show. You didn't know that. But for those that are unfamiliar with what Ping is, share a little bit about what you guys are up to.
Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, at a very high level, Ping is an autonomous coffee shop drive-through. So if you think like Starbucks, but just the drive-through, or like a seven brew or a Dutch Brothers, it's just the drive-through component and it's automated. So all the drink making is automated. But it's really primarily about improving and just maximizing the customer experience, which means it's fast, it's accurate. And overall, we try to make it a really personal and fun experience. So that's the goal of Ping.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the inspiration for it, because I feel like that resonates with so many folks, especially that are hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I had 3 daughters in high school at the same time, and they made us go through a bunch of drive-throughs, after soccer games or basketball games or just whenever. And I in particular couldn't stand the experience, and I would complain about it a lot. And so, one day Jane was, listening to me whinge about the drive-throughs, and she said, we could totally fix this, but your food and robotics background and my customer experience background, between the two of us. And so we started looking at it, and it was a great opportunity. And then the idea just started kind of formulating. And, at first it was just a manual coffee shop. Like Jane wanted to what if we just did the app and then had people working inside? It's like, well, what if we really wanted to, be able to time everything? What if we were able to, automate the drink making and, take some of the, indecision about which drink to make next and the timing uncertainty and all that right out of it and just program it. And that's how we ended up with Ping.
Yeah. I mean, it's that classic tale of entrepreneurs trying to solve for their own problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I met you, we were talking initially about how to take this concept and idea. You're more in the manual phase. You've done a test run at that point already. And, you have talked a lot about making, this dream come true, and also discuss how it was such a challenge to find funding and initially get folks to understand the vision. And there are a couple of iterations of that. Talk a little bit about or share a little bit about that struggle that you initially ran into in terms of roadblocks.
Yeah. I don't think that either I or Rob realized that most funding goes towards SaaS or software as a service. And so what we built was completely the opposite, which is a consumer facing, direct to consumer.
Yeah, it's B2B SaaS, right? And so we're
exactly
the opposite, where we're direct to customer.
B2C, we're also hardware, which just requires more CapEx or, capital expenditure and cost. It's extremely hard to just find a normal, finding traditional institutional investors like VCs or venture capitalists to be excited about it, even though the everyday person completely understands this problem.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
understand it. They're like, why doesn't this already exist?
Right.
And being able to translate those stories and make that real for VCs is a little bit difficult. So that's sort of been our journey here, is that most of our funding has come from accelerators, angel investors, and now the crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. Like at first I was against the crowdfunding because, everyone tells you that VCs look down on it and they think it's too transparent for some reason. So that's why we're also like, oh, it might harm our chances down the line of raising with more traditional, institutional investors. But at the end of the day, the reality is we're gonna make our concept work no matter what, and we're gonna find the money no matter where. And it just made sense to bring it to customers, because when we were running our pilot, our customers were like, how do we invest in you? And we're like, well, you're not accredited, so it doesn't really work that way. And
It
then
felt so wrong to say that. Like, oh, sorry, you're not wealthy enough to invest in it. Like,
you don't have enough of an
it,
asset level.
it just
Your
felt
income
exactly
level.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's been our long journey here. And I will say that Rob is right.
Oh my gosh.
Crowdfunding was the way to go, but
Okay, I need to like.
Well, all right, we'll clip that out and make sure that Rob, you can have that in posterity. So
Thank you. I'm gonna make that my ringtone or something, or just like.
Rob was right. Rob was right. Rob was right.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it took a minute to get there, and I've been not fortunate. I feel like I've been privy to some of those first conversations and the feedback that you got. What was that like? And then when you went back, you actually did have some success with a couple of folks that were able to truly see the vision. And that did give you a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we first started like the company, we did we're gonna go out with a pitch deck and a dream and try to raise money, and we pitched everybody that would listen. Very kind of first time entrepreneur sort of thing to do, right? Anybody that listens, obviously they're interested, and so you waste 5 months or something like that. I mean, it's not all wasted, right? Because you get to know people, and some of those people, like Hustle Fund, did later come back after we went and did something. We did our first pilot, and Haley Bryant was, holy crap, you did all that stuff that you were talking about. That's really impressive. Here, have some investment. And so it wasn't a complete waste of time, but it definitely wasn't efficient for us to start that way. And but later, as we started to build the angels and other investors, I think we started to see that it was easier to tell more regular people that can commiserate with the problem that we were having, tell them the story and have them like reciprocate and also have a visceral reaction to it. Whereas wealthier investors have somebody else get their coffee. They don't have to wait in that line, right? So it's like, oh yes, I want the bougie version of coffee. I don't care how long it takes because somebody will bring it to them, right? So I just found it so much easier to relay what our mission was and why it's so important.
Yeah. So I think it's so fascinating to hear about that and some of the roadblocks that you faced. And we do have to point out, Jane did say you were right about crowdfunding. What was that impetus, or what was that moment where that became a viable solution? Had you heard of it before? I mean, it definitely seems like the right avenue in retrospect, because you're able to bring those early customers on from your community. But what led you down that path initially?
I mean, the very first time we actually even learned what crowdfunding was when John Kelly, one of our very first customers and really, really first believers, literally brought us a check and said, I want to invest. Like, you must take my money. And I had to be like, no, I'll look into it. I'll look into what it takes. And, you look into like what it takes for him to be an accredited investor, and it's close, but like not, that would have taken a lot of effort on their part. What it would take for us to, accept non-accredited funding, which you can kind of do, but it's also a little scary from like a legal perspective, especially if you haven't done it before. But the crowdfunding, that was the one that, now now everybody could invest. Like our niece and nephew have invested, or Jane's sister, like now your entire family can get in there. You don't have to worry too much about all the non-accredited legal issues that you can run into. So yeah, I mean, and then as we started getting into it, like you realize that a lot of the things that we need to develop to show off our brand just to customers actually works for the crowdfunding. And for us, we're going to be a franchise as well. So we're also looking for franchisees. So the crowdfunding is a way to not only gain investors, but you get what do you call it? Investors, right? So they're both investors and they're customers, but in our case, they're also future franchisees. So it was a great way for us to really capture all three, and often multiple and the same people through the same funding source, or not funding source, but the website, that same platform.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of our franchisees on the wait list are investors. So that's really nice. Because they kind of really double down on the idea or the concept.
Yeah.
And the other fun stories are like one of our 19-year-old interns made a lot of money off Pokemon cards, so he invested.
Yeah.
With his parents' blessing. Not that he needed it, but
And at least a couple times a week, where we're out there doing the customer testing, somebody goes through, is like, now that I'm an investor, I'm going to try this thing out. Yeah. And they, get to try it, and they give some of our best feedback, right? Because they're the most, honest in terms of like, hey, as an investor, this is how I see this getting better. And so,
yeah.
they don't try to sugarcoat, feedback. They just like, okay, this is how we can all make this better. And this amazing flywheel for us to have that, super honest, feedback for what we're creating. Because it's pretty easy to drink your own Kool-Aid.
Right.
Like as you're, going through something. Oh, yeah, this is great. And, all your friends will tell you it's great too. But like when they become investors, like it's great, but you could do this better, right? And I think that's invaluable.
Yeah, shout out to Sherwood Nice, author of Investors from D3 VC, also an investor in Ping.
Yeah.
Talking about that community, this is such a unique platform to be able to do that, because to your point, you're creating not just a community of advocates and evangelists for you, but now truly an army of people that can also make introductions, can also bring feedback, and talk a little bit about what that was like to actually go out to them and talk about what you're doing. Especially, I remember more at the beginning, some of those first emails that went out to your contacts, where they were like, "Holy smokes, this is so cool."
Yeah, well, it's great to be able to tap into that network. Like now we have over 260 investors, and a lot of them are people we know, but they're people we know that have seen the idea and you want to learn more. And so a lot of our early messaging was about like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Like this is the method behind the madness, right? Because it's not just, oh, it's an automated, coffee shop, right? There's thought behind how we want to scale, and like how we designed it and how we want the experience to work, like all those sort of things. You don't just, happen into a great experience. You have to, come up with a framework and a reason for doing all that and the research and all that sort of thing. And so I think being able to share that with investors and also be challenged on a lot of our thinking, right? Because another thing Woody mentioned is like how quickly we answer questions, because we're so excited to like talk about these different things and to get the different questions sometimes shaped our thinking, right? To have like, hey, have you thought of this? Have you thought? And sometimes we hadn't. And so, getting those are really interesting. It's like, oh yeah, that's actually a great point. So, that will change things as well.
In a way, that's also how you got your new CTO, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very true, because we've done the mass robotics thing, and that helped us really reconnect with Helen Grainer, which is really, really great. because she's been not only an investor, but it's just a great advisor. We've done a podcast together, that sort of thing. And but connecting with Rory, and also being I think pushed a little bit to pick up the right people on our team has been helpful, and it allows us to grow in a way that it's hard to picture exactly how you're going to grow at the very beginning, and so that needs to shape over time, and I think getting input from people is how you do it, like how you think beyond what you're capable of thinking.
It hasn't all been roses and butterflies, though. There's been some challenges along the way with crowdfunding. You guys have gone through your campaign almost entirely as the world is flipped upside down. Social economically, socially, people are, we're in some sort of recession as well. And yet you've still been, by all accounts, pretty successful. I know it hasn't reached necessarily initially the goals that you had set out, but you're dangerously close. Talk a little bit about what some of those challenges have been, and I guess it's not all been negative from the perspective of investors, but and their comments. It's just talk a little bit about what were some of the unexpected changes that happened.
I mean, tariffs, the war. It did seem. It seems like we've had particularly. You talk about geopolitics. Like we've had particularly bad luck. But anytime we go to raise, something comes out that is big and like kind of spooks investors, and also makes it more challenging for us in ways. Like it sucks when a tariff shows up and you're getting this $1,500 piece of equipment from somewhere, and the guy at the door wants another $250 for his tariff before he'll deliver. It's like, I've already paid for this. This is a replacement part. Those things happen, but we can weather those sort of things. Like we've designed our system to be pretty low cost, and so we can absorb some here and there. But yeah, no, it does seem like we've had to kind of fight through it a bit. I think also like the platform, it's going through a lot of changes. They were trying to add a lot of features, as we were just launching our campaign. And sometimes when you add features, you actually break your existing features. And so we had that, happen a little bit where, people couldn't invest in our thing when we launched because the website would be broken or something like that. But I think we pushed through all of that, and you have to just keep at it, right? I mean,
yeah, I'd say that's true. I think there are advantages to being a WeFunder. I think that they do a better job at highlighting minority groups, women, diverse groups. And when Woody said that like 40% of crowdfunding is for female-led companies, I was shocked. But I think that WeFunder does a great job of highlighting those campaigns, at least for us. I think it was helpful. On the other hand, I do think that, and this is just our experience, this may not be the experience for everyone. I think that without your help and Lauren's help, I don't think we could have gotten to where we are, because it is like sort of a game that we have to like learn in terms of all the marketing buttons we can push and milestones that we need to achieve. And you guys definitely helped us learn how to communicate with our investors on that platform. On the other hand, I do think there are limitations to like every platform, like the number of people on the platform, like what they're interested in investing in, things like that. So I think there's like just like things that are built into crowdfunding that are also like things that slow our progress down. But on the flip side, yes, the economic uncertainties are not helping. Every time they're talking about recessions, every investor's like, I need to save my money. I think, so anyway.
Yeah, well, and I think at first too, we thought, this is marketing. We can do this. We know marketing.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same kind of. So having the tag team to like help navigate that, and to push us and to put like there's a structure to it, right? On some things that you have to understand in terms of messaging and like being consistent with that messaging and
The amount of messaging.
the amount of messaging, right?
Like content that's required.
Yeah. So, I don't think either of us quite realized that. So, bringing in the tag team helped us understand that and navigate it.
And it was great when you guys could run interference for us too. Like you guys are plugged into the WeFinder team. You can get on the line directly with them. Like it's great. So it's just like helping us move things forward and understand things quicker is an advantage.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate the kind words. It's been our pleasure to work with you and see this through. From a strategy standpoint, what were you most surprised about? How did our team, help you put that together? And then, you mentioned the content. That I think that was a little bit of a surprise initially for you, how we attacked it using the morning ping as the vehicle for that. What was that like, and do you attribute some of that success to the strategy?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we never would have put a podcast together ourselves. Like that was not in any like sphere of our thinking at all, but it became
But people watch it.
Yeah, and
investors watch them.
It became a great way for us to kind of practice articulating our
our
concept,
message.
right? It's a way to, when you just talk about your your startup in a guided conversation, I think it's really helpful to be able to respond to questions in a way that is not. I have a tendency to drone on and on and on with my answers, right? And to practice a snippet of an answer that doesn't last 20 minutes is really good for us.
Yeah. And let's be real, like we have so many other things to do. If you guys didn't keep us on track.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, we're trying to run a business, we're trying to develop something and operate it and do all that. So
so the gentle nudging was very appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's basically like B2B marketing, right? And I don't have any experience in B2B marketing, so
yeah. I think from our perspective, it's also a lot of fun to work with. Well, one, a great concept idea, and actually the beginnings of something really game changing in the industry. But more importantly than that, to us, it's important to work with great people, and I think that has been something that has been makes all of it really worth it. Coming to see you guys, coming to see the pod, being able to make introductions and bring folks from your community on and hear their story about how excited they are about what you're doing just continues to validate the type of people that you are, and your commitment to values and your commitment to creating a truly unique business opportunity for all of that's available to a lot more people than just the uber wealthy. And I love that as your vision, and that certainly resonates with the tag team and me personally. So I think that's been for us, it's been a lot more enjoyable and rewarding. And so I got to ask you, what would be something that you wish you had started 6 months before launching the campaign, or something that you would want to share with founders to start preparing for as they consider crowdfunding either via Reg D or Reg CF?
Like get your story straight, like understand what traction you've already achieved. I think that we hadn't put as much of an emphasis on creating like brand assets or like photography or video. I mean, you guys helped us a lot with that during the whole campaign. But having that in the back pocket so that your content can be like just churned out really quick and looks really good and professional. I think we had a little bit of that and we built more over time. But yeah, that could have been really good too.
Develop your network. Like a lot of it comes from your network and
at least especially during testing the waters.
Yeah, exactly. And practice pitching your friends. Like I think we often focus on, I got to pitch the wealthy investor or the VC, but like just practice pitching your concept at a party. Like we've literally had times where we went out to a friend's house for a party, and we pulled a couple of investors out of it because we just started talking about our concept, and they're like, "Oh, that's kind of neat," and
Yeah.
you really get into it, and they're like, "Holy crap! So you're crowdfunding now?" And it turns into something, and so I think those sort of organic opportunities are a really fun part of the crowdfunding, and if you can just pitch your friends at a party, then you can pitch on crowdfunding, right? You can just talk to other people, and if it passes their giggle test, then you can turn them into an investor. And I think it's fun for people to invest for the first time in a little startup.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hashtag that giggle test.
The giggle test, yeah, yeah. If,
Yeah.
if your friends get like, you're doing what? Yeah, then maybe you rethink a couple of things.
Or do your own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just do your own thing.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, yeah, you do you, man. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, looking ahead, I know we're dangerously close to the crowdfunding campaign coming to its initial close on July 11th. So I know that will date this show quickly, but also I think the lessons in here are things that people will be resonate with for far longer. But that said, what does success look like in the next 6, 12, 24 months?
Yeah, right now we're trying to get our operations into more than just testing a few days a week. We want to be open as much as possible, generating revenue and pleasing as many customers as possible. And we're putting a couple of final systems in place that have been funded by the crowdfunding, right? So it's exciting. Like we're over the next few weeks, we're really taking our system to the next level of autonomy and being able to operate. We just brought in our operations lead, so that's super exciting. We have another engineer joining us shortly, which is also super exciting. And this is all in thanks to crowdfunding. Like if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have this budget to make all these like really really key moves. And what we really want to do in September is do a much bigger raise. I think that'll probably be a combination of institutional and crowdfunding. And yeah, I'm excited for all the extra traction we're going to have for that, and all the investors that invested now get to ride that wave with us, right? We'll never be as cheap as we are to become an equity owner of Ping as we are right now. And so like in this fall you'll see that progress up, and and our value as a company go up. And I think that's just really really exciting, and I think it's fun for everybody to watch.
Yeah, we're growing, and it's thanks to our investors.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the funding to do it. It's just as important as the idea and the engineering and all of that.
Yeah. All right. So looking back, last question. Would you do it all over again? Would you do anything differently?
I would 100% do it again.
Mhm.
I'd 100% work with you guys again.
Yeah.
I think that what hasn't been said too, I think, and the reason why we need you guys to be the right ones to work with us, is that crowdfunding can be expensive, right? Because Weave undertakes a cut, investors are also will charge a little fee for their investments, for processing their investments. It can be kind of expensive. And so a lot of the ways that like large campaigns are sometimes are successful because they spend a lot in ad dollars. So that is even more expenses that you put into it. And I think it's impressive that we raised as much as we did without spending $1 in ad spend.
Yeah.
And it's totally achievable. It is a lot of work, which you guys did. It is a lot of like strategic
Yeah.
planning as well, of like, when do we launch this podcast? When do we share this amount, like this information? How do we share milestones, etc.? So I think that's important to note, because I think that most crowdfunding platforms require some ad spend. And to get to a certain level, it's like really pushed onto entrepreneurs. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that paid ads today are very, very expensive. So you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so like it's just good that we were able to achieve this with your help, without any ad spend at all.
Yeah, but I think we had others tell us they want 100K up front for ad spend out of the gate. like, whoa, like, can't we test this a little bit first? And so being able to test into things, um, yeah, I think it's the kind of approach that we were comfortable taking, and so that being able to tailor to our wants, desires, where we're at in the program is super important.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys sharing your history, the story of Ping, and really what the evolution is going to look like. Honestly, it's been a real pleasure working with you. I'm looking forward to all of what's to come because I know that this is still just. I always, I said this at the beginning when we got started. We look at our partnerships as opportunities to grow a business. Crowdfunding and campaign building is a small part of your milestone in your future history, right? So this is really neat to be able to have those assets that you've created and be able to use them truly forever and look back on this and use it as building blocks. And so I'm proud of the work that you guys have done. I'm proud of the work that we've done, but it's been even better getting to know you and calling you friends now. This has been great.
Yeah, same here. It's been great working with you and Lauren, and just we've learned a lot, and yeah, we've built something here. So that's really exciting.
You guys are honorary Pinksters.
That's right.
I was gonna wear my shirt this morning,
Oh yeah.
but anyway, it felt like I needed a collar for the show.
That's right.
I do have that at the top of my t-shirt drawer right now, so it's
Good.
Put it in the rotation.
Yeah.
it's in the rotation, So I really appreciate it. Well, Rob, Jane, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
On behalf of my guests today, Rob Whitten and Jane Lowe of Ping, you've been watching the TAGLine Podcast. Until next time.